Hi, everybody. Welcome to Q Times. We are here bringing you Republic City Rumble. This is a collaborative live stream with us, Q Times, and also Rule of Lore. Rule of Lore is another wonderful TTRPG community that exists in the world. And so I have done the first episode of Republic City Rumble, and this is the second episode of Republic City Rumble. We will soon have the third and fourth installments of this 4-shot series, and those are going to be GM'd by Republic City GM. By Rule of Lore GM,
Republic
Lucas Santana.
Of Lore.
Look, we'll get there eventually. We'll combine all those words, and eventually it'll form something that exists. It's really exciting. I'm really excited to see what Lucas does with the story that we're laying out here so far. But before we get to that, we have to finish today's episode. So before we get started, why don't we talk to our cast, our wonderful, beautiful, very extraordinarily entertaining cast of characters. This time, why don't we start with you, Liv?
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Liv. I use she, they pronouns. I am playing Kisima, who uses she, her. Kisima is lovingly what I love to say to everybody who's been asking me, like, oh, how's your Avatar thing going on? I'm like, I'm playing like an early 2000s celebutante who decided to get into sports. That's the best way I can describe it. And I love it here. She is able to waterbend, but has better, more technical skills. She is the manager of this team. She is a woman on a mission with a vision. And but I'll tell you what she doesn't have. Good luck.
Nope. Definitely not. Remy.
Hi, I'm Remy. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm playing Niho, who uses she, her pronouns. Niho is an earthbender, playing out of the Hammer playbook, so she hits hard and means to hit. And it's been a lot of fun playing a particularly fightingly aggressive character.
I don't understand as a GM how I'm supposed to defeat your character or challenge them in combat in any meaningful way, because your character seems incredibly strong. Sam, what about yourself?
I'm Sam Galev, and I am playing Tietza, who has figured out the true road to athletic success in pro bending. Enable Niho. That's the play. That's the whole play, and it's very important because Tirza has to win. Because how else could they prove themselves? Also, more importantly, I am the guardian of this show's star, the Pygmy Puma, Pickles.
That is basically the most important character in the entire plot so far, hands down. And last but definitely not least, Xander.
Hello, I'm Xander Jeanneret, and I'm playing Ezra, the healing firebender. Both of us use he, him pronouns, and Ezra is the idealist playbook character who is finding his own niche within the pro bending sphere. Maybe this buffing thing with firebending is a new technique, but definitely falls under the playbook. Buff Niho. Get Niho out there. This is how we win.
Hey, the strat works. Keep doing it. And I don't remember if I said, but I'm Krug. I'm here to be the GM. I use he, him pronouns, and I'll be playing a variety of characters. For those of you that didn't have a chance to see the first episode, first of all, I highly recommend you do go and check out the first episode. It's on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/QTimesMain. But just a short synopsis of a couple important events so that we can get started with today's episode. Our intrepid crew found themselves in a tournament that they had signed up for. They've been doing okay, not the best, but they're not, they're not disqualified yet. They are going against one of the top-rated teams in the entire tournament, the Scorpion Bees. And they fought the Scorpion Bees, but unfortunately the bout was interrupted by what seemed to be an earthquake. And so after that interruption, they decided to call off the match or postpone the match and, do some repairs, make sure that the arena is still in a safe place. And during that, a couple of questions arose about whether or not it was actually an earthquake that interrupted the tournament, mostly because Niho had some suspicions, and Also, Kisima had some suspicions based on the behavior of the police force, and obviously Niho's suspicions, because Niho's an earthbender, are more inherent in the way that earthbenders feel Earth differently than I guess every other person would. And because of these suspicions, we had Sam's character do a little bit of snooping, listening in on some individuals that were walking around the arena, having a conversation, a technical conversation about magnitudes of things that I don't think Sam's character really could decipher necessarily. And we also had Liv after the Kisima. We had Kisima after the match had resumed, after they had deemed everything safe. We had Kisima wander off into the production area of the event, trying to look for some information. She's talked to some people, and eventually she found herself in a service hallway that was left abandoned by the person who was supposed to be at that post. And she found some paperwork and decided to take it and walk away. And we're going to rejoin Kisima as she pulls out the papers to examine them as she's walking down this service hallway. An important thing to note would be that the very last thing that happened in the last session was that Liv rolled very poorly on pushing her luck. And so we're going to pick up with the consequences of that.
I'm actually lining up new dice right now.
That's a fair play. Honestly,
I got these dice from a Sailor Moon set, so you know we're on brand.
I like it. Cute.
I love that.
And usually, Chibi Moon, she's a real one, and she's usually on my side. And I was giving Mercury a try.
My favorite is Mercury.
The ladies might be on the short
But
list.
like maybe just not energy for Kisima, right?
Right.
You're right. Let me pull out Venus and Mars. That feels far more Kisima.
There it is.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not elementally, of course.
Right.
But
Not elementally,
spiritually.
So Kisima, you're walking down the hallway. You're rifling with the papers, opening them up, and as you open them, you hear between 3 or 4 different sets of footsteps coming down the hallway towards you. And the hallway is pretty curved, so you can't see yet, but you can see shadows start to appear around the bend.
Okay. I am going to try to duck and hide somewhere, because that seems like a good idea.
Sure. This is like we mentioned before, this is a kind of a loading dock area. So there are, some boxes of unmoved things around. You would be able to find a place. Do me a favor and I think rely on your skills and training unless you have another better idea.
I'm gonna save my better idea for later.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna rely on my skills and training. I'm sure that'll be an issue later on, just as people play this game. Rely on my trills. Yeah. So I got an 8. Oh wait, with focus, I don't think that changes much. I got a 9.
Okay. So you are walking, you hear the footsteps, you see a crate leaned up against the wall, and you duck behind it. You know perfectly well that as these individuals pass, they're going to see you if they have even the smallest amount of awareness. And so you position yourself in such a way that it looks like you're picking the papers up off the floor.
Yes, definitely.
And as they walk by, you hear one of them go, whoa, excuse me. Can I help you? Do you need something? And immediately behind this voice, you hear another much deeper, much calmer voice. Now, Lucas, don't get upset at the lady. I'm sure she has a perfectly reasonable explanation for being back here. And you very clearly recognize this voice because you've heard it before on television. You've heard it at parties. It's Gravone. Gravone Guo. Things you would know about this individual, owns Gravone Industries, has access to unfathomable resources, even from your perspective. This is
Yeah.
a wealthy individual.
Yeah.
And also something interesting from your perspective is you don't know Gravone. You've never spoken to Gravone. You haven't interacted with him at parties, even though you try sometimes, just maybe out of a curiosity. Maybe
Yeah.
you're trying to get something out of him. Whether your intentions are pure or a little bit more malicious, whatever, if you've ever tried to speak to this person, you've been pulled away or derailed, or he's moved on somewhere else. And aside from like full on running at him, you wouldn't have been able to get close. And it kind of strikes you as interesting just in this moment. And you look up and you see Gravone standing a little bit shorter than the guard whom you're familiar with, or the police officer whom you're familiar with that's standing next to him. She's pretty tall. He's only slightly shorter than she is. And and you see how tall he is and how kind of like he's kind of big. You can't tell if he's like on the chubby side or if he's very muscular, because he's wearing a very large coat that's made out of like, you don't recognize the animal, but very nice looking plush fur. And it's maroon and like with gold flecks in it, and it just looks so extravagant, but for some reason it comes off as totally like down to earth. Also, it's got this weird vibe of like the only kind of opulence that somebody who doesn't have enough to survive would appreciate, right? It's a very niche look. And you're not sure if it's coming from the clothes or from his face, because he's looking at you with complete understanding and kindness. And I don't want to tell you how your character reacts to that, but
yeah,
I would
but you
say
can tell
that
me like what, like, I don't know what energy he's trying to give off.
yeah, that's what I'm trying to. I think those are the words I was looking for that I couldn't find. You can tell that he doesn't want to seem intimidating. He doesn't want to seem. He doesn't want you to be stressed about the situation that you're in. He looks like he's trying to put you at ease. And Gravone continues speaking. Now, little Missy, are those papers for me?
Oh, I'm not quite sure. I received some paperwork from the production crew, but I think that maybe things got like mixed up and around. You'll have to understand, I've definitely been at games before, but this is a whole new side that I'm doing my best, but it's a little overwhelming.
I didn't see a need for you to roll trick there, but if that's what you're looking to do, just let me know.
Yeah, I'm essentially trying to trick him.
By all means, then.
Okay.
You can do this.
Ladies, come on.
This is a roll with creativity.
It is. Okay, we're gonna do the new girls. Come on.
Come on, in the name of the moon.
Ah! Okay.
Oh,
That is an 8.
that's really good.
Yes.
Uh,
I was so nervous. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, I got an 8.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah, I have it pulled up. So on a 7
So-
to 8, pick 1.
Gravone is going to. Gravone has a move that applies in this case. Gravone's move is if you roll with creativity or harmony, Gravone gets to pick the outcome of a successful roll. So Gravone is going to say that you
What kind
take
of
plus
spirit
1.
bender bullshit is this?
You take plus 1 forward when acting against them.
Okay.
So he gets to avoid acting foolishly, essentially.
Okay.
But that is valuable, and that plus 1 will be. I guess that's permanent, unless Gravone finds out that you're lying. I think that makes sense, right?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I think I basically get to use it like once. Like it's a It's a
Oh,
resource.
+1 forward. Ongoing is the one that's permanent, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Gravon looks down at you and goes, absolutely, darling. I wouldn't expect you to have taken the papers. I'm just, or maybe they got mixed up. I'm not accusing you of anything. I hope you do understand that. Why don't you let me see them, and I'll let you know whether they're mine or whether they're yours.
I have to give them over without any hesitation. I hand them over.
Okay. He opens them and goes, all right, these are just some silly little loading instructions for the dock crew. I'll make sure that they get, and actually, would you mind? And he hands them over to the officer behind him. And the officer grabs them and goes, I guess? Sure. And the officer puts them in their pocket. Where? Okay, I'll figure it out. And slowly walks away and turns around and looks back like, why am I doing this? I don't understand. I have some others. Okay, just get it over with. You can tell she's confused as to why she's listening in this situation. Gravon looks at you and goes, now, darling, is there anything else that I can help? Maybe I can help you find your way back to your seat, or anything else I can do for you?
Yeah. Yes. I think I got a little bit turned around. The whole earthquake kind of startled me.
Oh, yeah, and it did startle plenty of people, but I will have you know that I did reach out to some of my contacts to come down and investigate the safety of the building and the stands and all that, and they assure me, and I will have you know that some of the finest earthbenders that I personally know, they assure me that it's absolutely safe. You have my word that if you go back and enjoy the show and just, let your mind be free and excitement about the bending, I promise you'll be completely safe.
Kisima nods along as he's saying all these. Her eyes are very wide and stuff. Oh, so scary. Ugh. But I think when he offers to walk her back, she steps forward and takes his arm, and because yeah, sure, you're gonna walk me back.
Sure. And he's from the same society as you are.
Yeah,
and
so
he's used to this, so he'll basically let you and link arms with you.
And as we're walking, I think Kisima's just kind of no, I appreciate it. I know you do a lot for the league. So it's very honestly, it's very comforting for somebody who's basically a newcomer on this side of it to have your care and support. My team and I, we are fledglings, but I think we're going to be something great, and I would just love any kind of guidance that you could provide.
Oh, I'm so sorry, miss. You'll have to forgive me. Sometimes I rely a little too heavily on those around me who I hire to see to these things. I did not realize that you were one of the managers. Please forgive me. I may have spoken out of turn. You definitely first of all have my respect for which team, if you don't mind me asking.
The Pygmy Pumas.
Oh, and they're performing right now, aren't they? I'm sorry,
Yes,
maybe performing is not the right word. I'm not sure what you all call it. But boy, we should go watch. Let's step to it. And he continues to walk a slightly brisker pace. It almost feels like he's walking at a slightly brisker pace just to justify what he said, and for no other reason than that.
Right.
As you're walking maybe a couple more steps, he'll turn to there's two other individuals that are still following you. They don't look threatening. You're not put off by them, even if they were to come after you and be like, oh, we're gonna get you now that the police officers. You're not worried about it. They don't seem that threatening. But Grillan does kind of turn his head back and address one of them and say, yo, I'm not sure if there are enough of them. I'm not sure if there are enough coins out the front, and we might want to make sure a couple diamonds go out there and take a look. I have a strange feeling that we're going to need a little bit more assistance, if you know what I mean. And one of them goes, oh, absolutely, sir. Absolutely. I'll see to it immediately. And he turns and walks the other way.
Wow. Oh, that's so like generous of you to just send out diamonds to all the people up at the front.
Wouldn't it be though? And he continues to walk.
What do you mean?
Oh, the coins and the diamonds. Those are words that me and my entourage use to communicate about things that are maybe a little bit too technical and a little bit too, confusing sounding for people that aren't necessarily involved in our line of work. If that makes any kind of sense.
Try me.
Oh, okay. So we're doing it he seems very flustered, and noticing this, the person behind him says, "I'm sorry, Mr. Guo. I don't know if you remember, but we have to get to something. I'm sorry to interrupt your what seems like a very enjoyable and leisurely walk, but remember the meeting." And Gravon goes, "Ah," and you can hear the relief in his voice. "You're absolutely right, ma'am. I'm so sorry, but I have to leave you here at this juncture. But please feel absolutely free to partake in anything that you could possibly want from the concessions out front. They will make sure that you're taken care of. I promise you." And
That is so kind.
as you say this, he bows to you and turns and walks away.
Kisima waits until she knows they're gone, and the happy-go-lucky bimbo mask falls, and she just storms back to her seat.
Okay, so your goal is to get back to your seat now?
Yeah, I think if I keep fucking around back here, it's not gonna. If I get caught again, it's bad. I can only play dumb so many times.
That seems like a reasonable assessment. And as you start walking back to your seat, we're going to switch back to the benders in the arena. As you are fighting, sending blows back and forth, you notice that the firebender, the Scorpion Beast firebender, is looking still pretty angry. For those that weren't here for the last episode, there was kind of a weird emotional moment between Niho and the firebender of the Scorpion Bees, and a weird emotion. Oh, I'm sorry. Niho had a weird emotional moment with the waterbender, and then Xander had a weird emotional moment with the firebender.
Ezra did, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Ezra. And it kind of sparks flew. The audience wasn't really sure. It felt kind of awkward, like a situation where you don't expect there to be a fight, like an entertainment venue, and then suddenly they're actually fighting. They seem to want to hurt each other. That's what the audience's perspective was. In reality, Xander was trying to help, and in reality, Niho was just earthbending normally, and it just came off as aggressive because they're really strong.
I imagine it's the vibe if at a pro wrestling match they just started boxing, just
yeah. in a wrestling tournament, they just started throwing punches. Wait, hold on, I thought that we were. So that's kind of where the animosity from the enemy team is coming from. But you're noticing now that the firebender on the enemy team is looking still angry, but now he's angry, and he also looks a little bit tired, and he's just kind of it seems like he's putting all of his effort into the anger, and he's kind of losing the control of himself, right? And Xander, you'll recognize this sort of behavior. This is a firebender losing control of their bending.
Yeah,
they're slowly giving in to the element as opposed to controlling the element. And specifically for firebending, that is a bad thing.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons.
It's a hazard to themselves and those around them.
Yep. And so that having been said, unless anybody needs to get anything done outside of combat, we're going to go into a round of combat. So go ahead and choose your moves, and I will choose the moves for the opponents. And oh boy.
think Niho's gonna strike.
Yeah.
That's the move, man.
Was Tirza
Wait.
feeling more evade or defend?
Here we go.
Tirza's inclined toward evade
Okay.
right now.
So Ezra will step up for defending then.
Okay. So we have Ezra, then Niho, then Tirza. Okay. So Ezra, why don't you go first?
Yes, Ezra's going to move forward in front of Niho and you seize a position. And also use his move, the strength of your heart. When you seize a position, foes must mark 2 fatigue to block your movement. 2.
Okay. So you are going to have an advantageous position now.
Yes.
So we're going to say that you are favored.
Okay.
So you get to choose an additional basic or mastered technique next exchange, even on a miss.
Mm-hmm.
And the opposing waterbender is going to retaliate. So they are going to shoot water out from the grates beneath them, and it's going to be suspended above kind of the middle point between the 2 closest opponents, just kind of suspended above them. And she's going to keep it suspended there for a second. And then we'll go to Niho.
I think seeing the waterbender move, I think that she's going to strike against the waterbender actually.
Okay.
Try to just fly some disc like directly at her, focus and attack.
Cool. They are going to you're going to you're going to roll with passion, is that correct?
Yes. Waha, that's an 11.
Waha!
So you throw 2 discs, and you kind of make it. You kind of have the discs miss by a little bit, so that but be close enough that the waterbender feels the need to dodge, and then based off of where you placed the first discs, you throw a 3rd disc at where you know they're going to dodge to, and it just smacks them right in the chest, and it pushes them back into the next ring as well.
Nice.
And with this, the firebender is going to do the same to Tirza. The firebender looks at you, and you see not just anger at like the situation from earlier. You see like rage in the firebender's eyes. He's mad, and he shoots a spit of fire at you that lasts for longer than you have seen in a pro bending tournament. This is like a lot, and you have air bending, and you can hold off the brunt of it, but it does eventually break through, and you're going to be what's the stats effect? Here we go. You're going to be impaired as your glider catches fire.
Oh, the fireproof.
Yep.
Fireproofing.
Yep.
The chickens. At last, their roost.
And as your glider catches fire, the arena goes from having a bright glowing green center line between the 2 opponents to a bright glowing red line, and you hear a loud buzzer. Ladies and gentlemen, there seems to be a problem on the field. Please give us 1 minute to sort this out. And the earthbenders run towards you and are, what's going on? How did that? Hold on. Get them out of here. And he motions to the scorpion bees, firebender and earthbender, that both look really, really angry, like they're going to continue fighting, even though they're definitely not supposed to at this point. And the two earthbenders from their side of the arena kind of walk over and grab them and pull them back towards their prep room.
Tits like trying to frantically get the straps off their legs so they can just like punt off the glider. Like they're trying to get away from fire and panicking beyond the realization that they have the tools via bending to deal with this, because fire is its own lizard brain panic. They're just trying to get away from their own legs.
100%.
Ezra is going to rush over and is trying so hard. You can see the desperation on his face, but his bending is just not doing anything against these flames. As he's trying to sort of like absorb them, it's just not doing anything.
Yeah, there's a lot, and it's not just the flame, right? It's the whole instrument's catching. Like once the fire gets underneath the material that's supposed to prevent what was it called? The fire retardant. Mm-hmm. It can effectively light the rest of the object. And as the two of you are struggling with this, the opposing waterbender, still having a defensive move waiting for when for an attack that isn't going to come anymore, lets it lightly fall onto your glider and yourself, and it extinguishes the flames. And the waterbender Tirza, can you roll to assess? No. Can you rely on your skills and training, please?
10.
Nice.
The waterbender comes over to you, and you can see there's still a competitive like adrenaline in the individual, but they're coming over to you out of complete sympathy. They don't mean any harm whatsoever. They come over to you and they go, "I'm so sorry. What I thought that there was wasn't there a thing to prevent this? Do you need help?"
I finished getting the straps off and just sort of brush some of their flakes of the glider that have blackened and flaked off of the rest of my uniform and sort of push myself out of it. It slows it down, but I mean, he went really hard.
Yeah, he I don't know what it is, but he hasn't really been himself for this bout. I promise he's not a bad person. He's just, I don't know, his emotions are getting the better of him. I hope you can understand.
We all get into it. Just, and I hold out a hand. Just thanks.
You're absolutely welcome. And she goes in for a hug.
Oh.
If you seem okay with it, they'll give you a hug.
It's surprise, but not like dismay.
Sure.
It's just like sportsmanship.
And they'll kind of they'll pull away after a second and realize that they're covered in water now, and they'll be like, and they'll dry themselves off, and they dry you off as well, and throw the water back into the grates.
I'm Tirza.
My name is Koi. Nice to meet you.
We're still gonna kick your butt.
Oh, I wouldn't have it any other way. She turns and walks.
And
after a couple beats, the earthbenders, who have been walking kind of casually over, because I don't know, maybe they don't get paid enough, I guess, they eventually get to you and they go, "Oh, are you all right?"
I'm not burnt, but she is. And I point to my glider. Can you just help me get her off the arena? I'm just gonna have to,
The earthbender, partway through your sentence, has sort of looked up and kind of towards like the top part of the stands, and then he kind of snaps back into it and goes, "I'm so terribly sorry. Can you say that one more time?"
Look, I'm I can take care of it. So just show me where to put it.
Okay, great.
Nina's just gonna pick it up herself.
That's great.
Gently.
Thank you. And he walks
Thanks.
back
Can
to
you
the.
can you just put it over by Pickles? And as I'm pointing and like sort of turning to point, I want to follow the gaze and see where he had looked.
Rely on your skills and training.
Would love to. Yep. Hey, all right. That gets me to a 7.
You are certain that there is nothing interesting there, and you are also certain that the Earthbender didn't see anything interesting there. His eyes glazed over like he was bored.
Huh.
Is he wearing like arena uniform, like league uniform, or like is he giving a kind of suit vibe?
It's like a pseudo. It is a uniform. Let's get that out of the way. It is a uniform specific to the Earthbenders that extend the bridge. It's almost ceremonial in nature. It's like Earthbender traditional, and ceremonial is wrong. Traditional is correct. It's like an Earthbender traditional garb for these people specifically that do this. It has no cultural significance, but it's just like this is what the Earthbenders that do this thing in this context wear, and it's provided by the event. So it's like it's not something that they own. It's probably nicer than they could afford, but it's a standardized thing.
Okay, all right. Arena facility, cool.
Yeah.
So I'll sort of direct Niho if Niho's willing to put my glider over by where at least being on fire was enough for Pickles to take their head out of the popcorn tub that they had been like. If popcorn bending were possible, they would have found a way.
It just hasn't been discovered yet.
And Tirza will take up a position, sort of kneeling Seiza, in the position on the ring. So they're going to fight from sitting.
Okay.
For this bend. It's not ideal for them, but this is not an ideal situation. How could this have happened?
Right?
No one knows.
So the Earthbender that had spoken to you previously has walked away. The other Earthbender from that same side of the arena is now walking over to Niho, and they say, "Are you okay? Everything?"
Yes, everything's fine.
Didn't you get hurt? Weren't you on fire? Right?
Are you saying that because I'm holding the glider that was on fire? Yes, I got hit with like a fireball like last round, but like I'm not.
No, but I mean like just because there was a buzzer, right? And that means we have to check and see if everyone's okay. So does that, or were you the one that was on with the it was really hot? Were you on fire?
Instead of answering, Niho's gonna put down the glider and then really like stare at the sky.
Did the yawn happen in game?
Yeah. I'm not sleepy, trust me.
I figured, but
just you right?
No.
No.
So
then which what was the buzzer? Do you remember what the buzzer was?
Weren't you standing there when the buzzer went off too?
Yeah. That's where I'm supposed to stand. So I do.
And so you would have been.
Huh.
Well, excuse me. If you're okay. Oh man. I'm gonna go back to my post, and if you need anything that I can do, you know where I'm gonna be. I think the oh man, I'm sorry, I don't remember what I was gonna say. I'm gonna just and they turn and walk away.
Niho like is like dumbfounded and like stares down at Pickles like, did you see that shit?
Pickles is like,
what in the this is something's not right, and she's gonna go rejoin her companions down in the ring.
the announcer comes back on. Ladies and gentlemen, it seems like we might have a disqualification here with the Pygmy Pumas, unfortunately. Pygmy Pumas, please see your way back into the preparation room for a quick discussion with the referee.
Do I hear this?
Yes, this is about the time where you walk back into the thing, and like where you walk back into the stands from underneath, and almost on cue, like as soon as you come out into the arena, you hear this announcement.
Oh, we're in trouble.
No. They're just gonna stay where they are. If for no other, like, not just because, you know, their mobility device is burnt up and off to the side now. So they're not going anywhere. But they didn't do anything wrong, and they're not going to the locker room to talk about it.
That's reasonable.
So Tirtha says no, and then they stay sitting where they are.
Are either of the other two benders going to walk?
Ezra's going to kneel down next to Tirtha and says, if I'll stand by you, but if you're not comfortable going on, we can always swap you out for Kisima too.
Now I gotta beat them even harder. They're messing with us. They're trying to tilt us.
If we don't go back there, we might get disqualified, though.
If they try to make me go back there, they're gonna cause themselves bigger problems right now.
All right. And then Ezra will take up a defensive position next to Tirtha.
I guess I can go back there and see what we did wrong.
Make them come out here. The ref can talk to us on an arena in front of people. What are they hiding?
I guess I can see what I can do. Niha's gonna go back by herself.
And Kisima?
The second obviously, Remy, you don't have to recap it, but the second Niho walks in, Kisima is on you, like, what happened? What da 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 da, and just like to get caught up with everything. So when they come, she's ready.
So I'm assuming as soon as you heard that, you just booked it back to the
Yes.
the prep room. Okay, and as Niho comes in and you two have this conversation, eventually the door will open and you'll see that same stage manager lady, kind of disheveled looking at this point. She's having a rough day, and only one of her interns is with her at this point. And she opens the door and goes, "I'm sorry. I hear that you're disqualified. Is that correct?"
No, it's not.
Oh, I was given an instruction that we were to come back here and inform you that.
Are you aware why we are being allegedly disqualified?
It's due to a violation of arena protocol and endangering the safety of the audience.
In what capacity?
My note says that the fire from before was a danger to the audience, and that it constitutes disqualification.
No, darling, if you will, which fire? Is it the one that damaged my player's mobility device? Is that really the take you want to make?
Yeah, the notes I have say that during the hullabaloo that probably something happened and your player didn't reapply because it's supposed to be on there to prevent this sort of thing. And
Right. So my question is now, Tirtha is an extraordinary player. Their talent and their skill. they also very openly use a mobility device to play. So my question is, why is the league going to see that as an acceptable move to damage my player's mobility device? Because I think that sets a very poor precedent, and I do not believe that we should be the ones being disqualified. I'll admit it. Tirza should have reapplied their lacquer. Tirza should have been on top of that. But at the worst case scenario, why are they the ones being punished?
And
Doesn't it make just as much sense? Like she leans over, just as much sense.
And the
For
stage
the
manager,
other players to not target them.
and the stage manager stammering, and as they are, the other door, the opposite side of the room that you came in from, swings open, and Gravone walks in. Gravone is towering, alone this time, and says, "What is this I hear about a disqualification? Please explain it to me." And he's addressing the stage manager. The stage manager says, "Oh, sir, I received a note from one of the arena refs, one of the box refs. I know what a box ref is. This might not be my sport, but I definitely know the rules. I own the arena. Come on now. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry. Yes. So I got a note that says that that this team is to be disqualified. I took that note to the announcer. The announcer made the announcement. Now I'm back here trying to explain it. Well, all right, man. Listen up. Do I get a say in this?" And there's an awkward silence for maybe 5 seconds while the stage manager thinks about it. Yes. Okay. Well, in that case, they're not disqualified. Why don't you write that down on your little notepad? Why don't you go and give that to the referee who made the call? And then why don't you go and find another mobility device for the airbender out there? Take a break, maybe 5 minutes. If you don't have it done, you're fired. And then we'll resume the match. How about that? Is that good? Does that work for everybody? And he's looking at you, Liv. He looks like a little bit like sassy and angry, but you can tell it's not targeted at you specifically.
Right. Fuck, I wish this game had an insight check. Fuck!
It kind of does. So you can rely on your skills and training to gain a new insight, right?
Okay.
And then you can also choose to use assess a situation if you want to ask a specific question.
I'm going to use rely on my skills and training.
Mm-hmm.
And I can explain
what's your goal?
My goal? Okay. So I already know that Gravone, or at least his team and his people, are not above manufacturing situations. We had the whole taking a photo with the handshake and everything. And I'm not stupid. How many people did my mom date for fake? You know, a successful actress before she got with my dad. I'm not stupid. So I'm trying to check to see. She said that she got a note. He owns this studio. Is he setting us up right now? Is the insight that I'm trying to glean? Is there anything in his mannerisms that seem over dramatized or performative?
What did you roll?
I rolled an 8.
So you
This one forward.
what's that?
Well,
that's
no,
right.
because it's not going to help me though. It's not going to tip me over.
Oh, right.
I think it's just next roll on a person though. I don't know if it's a spend.
I don't get to choose. Yeah, so I guess it's a 9.
You're looking at Gravone and listening to his speech, and this is almost reflexive. Like I think you do this kind of subconsciously especially when you're with somebody that you know has power or influence. You pay very close attention to their mannerisms, even if you're not trying to. And so you're listening to the way Gravone speaks and the way that Gravone moves his body and the way his face like constricts when he frowns and who he looks at when he's speaking, and none of it seems off to you. And then you look down just kind of like coincidentally at the note, and you kind of get a good look at it while it's on, you know, the clipboard. Maybe the stage manager was a little bit flustered and kind of like forgot herself, and it is just kind of like showing you all of the papers. You can see some, you know, papers that pertain to the event, but you can also see a handwritten note with the instructions that the stage manager had pointed out. And it looks an awful lot like the way Gravone writes. You've seen Gravone write instructions on paper before, just because you've, you know, rubbed shoulders with this kind of person. Also, his signature is a big part of his company and his branding, and the way that he writes is kind of a thing that exists in the world, right? It's more of a logo than it is a handwriting style. And you're a solid 90% that Gravone wrote that. Either that or somebody was trying to look like Gravone wrote that, because like that's uncanny.
Okay.
But again, Gravone seems genuine 100% in his actions and in his emotion right now.
Okay. Warm. Kisima like clocks this and takes note of it, but keeps like her spot where she has started to almost kind of like cower behind Gravone. You know, he came in and started making this whole big scene and everything, and I think she kind of naturally stepped into that before she like clocked his body image or body language, and is just like still in that space of like, oh my gosh, he's like rescuing me and my team. But like she knows something is up, but she's gonna keep that to herself for now.
And this all happens in a couple moments, right? We're still in a tense situation where Gravone's yelling at this poor stage manager, asking her to go get another mobility device for Tirza. And the stage manager, you're having these thoughts, and the stage manager is saying, okay, absolutely, I will definitely just I'm gonna just need a little bit of time. Is that okay? Absolutely. Time is something that we have plenty of. These people are going to be here all night enjoying the wonderful bending that we have in store. A couple minutes is nothing between friends. Is that okay? He's looking at you again, Liv. And this is I think the second time he's addressed you directly.
Yes. Thank you. We'll borrow one. I'll talk to Tirza and see what she wants to do or what they want to do in terms of you know, replacing it or, you know, repairing it, whatever they want.
And then Gravone nods, and a tiny smirk comes across his face, and then he looks at you, Niho. By the way, that was a killer right hook. I know a tiny bit about earthbending, and whoo, lady, you got what it takes. And he turns around and walks away. I'm so sorry. I promise I wasn't. I meant to go. And the stage manager leaves.
One moment before you go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to overlook this disqualification thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to the arena refs and pass on the message that they should really keep note of how long those firebending blasts should be. I think it was maybe 0.2 of a second too long. It should have been a single second.
Can you roll with Harmony to plead?
Yes. That is an 8.
Niho!
I think you're right. I can't guarantee anything, obviously, and I'm so sorry about that. I'm not. It's above my pay grade, but I will definitely bring it up. You have my word, and you feel comfortable that they're telling the truth.
Good. Thank you very much.
And they turn and kind of like slowly make their way out, and then as they close the door behind them, you hear them book it.
The second that they're all gone, Kisima's gonna like slide up to Niho and very softly, because you never know who's listening, we're being set up.
It kind of feels like that at this point now.
It definitely.
We'll switch back to Tirza and Ezra. You all are sitting there, and the audience kind of got restless after a bit, and they murmuring to each other, and then the waterbender approaches you again from her training area a little bit slowly. Do you mind if I join you?
Please, yeah, come sit. I look over sort of to the arena rest a little bit and back to her. Want to just do a drill scrim real quick? We got time.
A small smile comes across her face, and she goes, I don't think they'd be too happy about that.
Perfect.
Great. She stands up and goes to the edge of her first ring.
Tirza will sit back and sort of get ready to do I think there's probably like an air water like back and forth vibe, like whatever the equivalent of a passing drill.
Yes.
Is.
Sure. Yeah. And
just
I think maybe
real friendly. There's nothing attack about this. It's just the exchange of the element.
Yeah. And I think the idea is that like the waterbender will create like a sphere of water.
Yep.
The airbender will try to suspend it without losing any of the liquid, and then the waterbender will try to pull it back while the airbender resists without losing any liquid. I think that's the idea of what you guys are trying to accomplish. So you begin doing this drill, and as soon as the water peaks up from beneath the grates, you hear a whistle, and one of the earthbenders from their side runs over and goes, hey, no bending in between bouts. That's not how this works. If you need to practice, go into your practice room. You each have your own. You can practice in there. And you're still just going and not paying attention.
Yeah. I mean, if she's starting to freak, I'll ease up. But if she's down for mischief, I'm down too.
She doesn't seem to care at all. She's just doing it, continuing to pull. And she looks over at the earthbender and says, I'm not sure if there's a way for us to modify this for an earthbender, but would you like to try? We can try to work you in.
Ezra at this point will sidle up next to them and starting to like gloss over the situation. Listen, the audience is getting restless. Let's just give them a little bit of a show. And he'll sort of activate his thermal hands and place them underneath this sphere to sort of cause it to be boiling. And so it's like boiling and giving off steam as it's getting caught up in the...
And Tirza, you find it a little bit difficult to keep that steam from rising, and it kind of makes it a little bit more of a challenge. You're trying to make it like a clean, perfect sphere, and the heat and the steam that's rising up out of the water is kind of disturbing the surface of your perfect sphere and making its way through. And so you kind of rework your movements and make them a little bit more aggressive and a little bit stronger. And as you do this, the steam slowly starts to conform to the rest of the sphere, and you feel the waterbender like notice that the air is moving a little bit more forcefully, and she has to make some adjustments to kind of like pull it through the air that's just being a little bit rough. And as this is happening, the audience is clearly watching at this point, because they go, yeah, that's cool, look at that, woo, nice. And you hear these people like shouting from, and they're not excited in the same visceral way that a pro bending match would get them. They're not screaming and cheering you to go in and get some and like adrenaline pumping. They're just like excited to see, first of all, the fact that all three of you, one of which is from a different team, are just getting along and like enjoying each other's company. And also they find it interesting to watch you practice, the same way that somebody who's really into football might find watching football practice interesting, might find watching football practice interesting. And so they're kind of getting into it, right? They're really happy. And as this is happening, the energy, the whole like vibe of the room begins to change. And it goes from something that's like a wrestling arena to more like a picnic. Like it's a little bit less loud, but nobody's screaming. Everybody's kind of talking with each other and enjoying a show, more like a theater play. How about that? I think that's a good vibe that would kind of match this. except for
Sort of like Cirque vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Except for obviously everyone's talking because the audio part of this isn't really part of the performance that you're putting on. So they feel free to talk to one another, and they're laughing and joking, and there's just a lot less anger in the room, and it feels really good for most of everybody around. You can see big smiles on everyone's face, and you guys keep going, and the Earthbender realizes that that they seem to be enjoying this, and he just goes, I don't know, I'll wait for orders, and he walks away.
How is that arena master look? Like, what was the affect there? Because we've seen a couple who are frankly somewhat dazed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He seemed aware of himself. If you want a detail, I can ask you to either assess or rely on skills.
I'd love to rely on skills, and more particularly, learning to read a ref is specifically a thing that athletes learn to do. You need to know when to push someone to get it rolling, and when.
When to just
ooh, 12. Tell me everything about this ref.
Let's go. What is their social security number?
How many parents does he have?
You didn't really get a good look at their face, but you have their wallet somehow, so I don't know. Totally joking.
I wouldn't have thought this was their mother's maiden name, but here we are. Yeah.
So you're thinking back on your interaction with the first ref, who kind of seemed a little bit out of it, and this ref, and you're certain that there was a difference, right? Like, not just like these are two different individuals, but like there's a certain amount of pride that comes with the work that they do, just kind of like the traditional nature of it all, and the fact that the first guy didn't seem to have that is kind of strange. Like, why would he then come and do it, right? Like, there's no other reason. They don't get paid a fortune. They just get to wear this cool thing and act as a referee, essentially. And you definitely thought it was weird. And this one, the second one to approach you, was just genuinely like, oh, I'm supposed to get them to stop, and then like used his own brain to assess the situation and be like, maybe those rules are a little bit silly, and then left. And you're thinking back and forth between the two of them, and you realize that the first one's ceremonial traditional outfit has a different little thing about it. He's wearing a strange looking like badge, almost like a pin on his, and you didn't notice it initially because the earthbending clothes is kind of loose up on the top, and so a piece of fabric was like covering it, and you didn't really see, and it's gold and it kind of blends into the color theme. But now you're glancing over and you're like, that's strange. I don't know what that is.
If I look around, are there maybe too many of them?
Too many of what? The earthbenders?
Yeah. Like, if there were a legit number, and then maybe a couple extra?
You don't notice any extra earthbenders, but you do notice that the ones on your side of the arena both of them have this pin, and the ones on the opposite side of the arena, they don't.
All right.
And you know that there is no like uniform reason for there to be one set of earthbenders that have an extra piece versus the other ones.
Yeah. Okay. All right. But this is all just stuff inside Tirza's brain that they're just sort of looking while playing to the crowd a bit, while just kind of making nice with Okoye, while, hopefully just very slightly pissing off their firebender teammate. It's just a bonus. It's not a necessity.
I will say, if the firebender crosses your mind, you'll look over at the practice room that your opponents use, and you'll just glance. You'll just happen to look over there, and you'll see the firebender leaning up against the archway on their side, and he's smiling and watching you.
I have my own clarifying questions. I'm going full tin hat over here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Please join me.
You're member of the Scorpion Bees. That was like, what is going on? That was the Earthbender, right?
What do you mean?
There was the one Scorpion Bee who was talking to Niho, who seemed super out of it. What element do they bend?
That was, I think, still just a ref.
Yeah.
That was
Oh,
one
okay,
of
never mind. I thought.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
actually
I don't
like-
think-
Yeah, the
Earth
days
Bender
rest.
Oh, okay.
I think
Sorry,
Niho
I-
had an interaction with the Scorpion Bees before this
Okay.
part of the match, but I don't think there was one during this part of the match.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna take my hat off. It's too tight.
It's good. It's good to be there.
Oh, I've got my hat right here with like weirdly targeting the least threat on the team, and then being fine and not big mad anymore. But anyway, I think so. This is what happens in the same amount of time that interaction takes. I think those both.
Yep.
So that's what we are doing when Niho and Kisima come back out.
I was gonna say, do I get to come out onto the field?
Are you asking if it is a normal thing that somebody in your position would do in this situation?
Absolutely
This
not.
situation isn't a normal situation, so there isn't a good answer to that. Is there a situation where somebody in your position would come out onto the field? Not really, unless there was some kind of emergency.
Right.
If you want to ask any other specific questions, by all means.
No, I more was just wondering because like we were supposed to be in the back having like a little like meeting or whatever.
Right.
Niho came to represent like 2/3 of the team. Now that everything's been situated and Niho's heading back, I was wondering if Kisima gets to go too, check in with her team, or if I just like go and sit in my seats. Either one is fine. I was just curious.
You certainly you feel like in this
Escort
extenuating circumstance that there's probably nothing bad would happen if you walked onto the field. Let's
We've
put it
made
this way.
it so weird already.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty weird already. If you, I'll give you this as a guarantee. If you walk out onto the field, you don't get additionally disqualified. Like they don't try to disqualify you again. You don't think that that's like in the stars. That doesn't just make any sense to you at all.
All right, perfect. Then I like strut out with Niho. Definitely take a moment to like fix my hair, fix my outfit, make sure I look great, and then I walk out. 'Cause I'm gonna be in the middle of the crowd.
And hey, without rolling, you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
I
as
just,
our
like,
manager comes out,
Mhm.
like, and I know that it's probably to debrief, I'm going to catch eyes with Ezra and Koi and to sort of signal, hey,
And
hands on your element, we're about to do the thing.
And
Yeah.
they
Or they release the air pressure. And I think I would like to roll for like style points probably because it's the steam and then the water all expanding outward. So I'd like to sort of see how well I can control that release.
sure
ooh.
do it.
So cool.
That's a 6 and a 3 plus a 2, so that's going to be good.
That's
The
great.
result's going
Cool
to
as
be good.
hell.
So
Mhm.
you catch the other two benders' eyes. And Xander, if you don't mind, may I do something with your character?
Please do.
Okay, so yeah, you catch the other two benders' eyes, and you kind of like give them like a little wink. Like you almost communicate in like subtle body movements, like we're gonna make this look neat, right? And
Yeah, like
you
a
get
conductor
back,
dance.
oh yeah, we are. In again, just body language. And so you'd let the air slowly like expand, and you kind of like push and grow this sphere larger and larger. And as you do, the waterbender kind of like lets the water expand with it, and it's like becoming more and more of a mist than it is anything else. And Xander, as they're doing this, you're slowly moving your hands further to provide like a more generalized, less focused heat to heat everything up. And as it slowly begins to all these individual tiny little water droplets that are suspended in this air that you're keeping perfectly like separated from the rest of this water so that it has the chance to occupy all this space, and it's slowly starting to dissolve, and it gets faster and faster. Eventually you just have this big puff of steam, and you're controlling the whole thing. And as you realize that the water is now gone and it's basically all under your control now, you shoot it up into the air and release it, and it just slowly starts to fall back down as this very, very fine, very, very cool misting, and the whole audience starts to cheer. It was getting a little bit muggy, and maybe nobody really noticed it, but now that it's, being alleviated by this gentle, nobody's becoming wet, but it is just this gentle, like, mist of cool, refreshing air, and everybody starts cheering, yeah, woo! And you see, as you're doing this, you hear the announcer's microphone come on, and then as the audience starts to just roar, as you finish this display, you hear the microphone go off again.
I think this is happening as they're walking, and I think Kisima and Niho, oh my gosh, wow, I didn't know people still recognized me. Wow.
As if they're cheering for her.
Yeah.
I love it.
Niho has like her
Obviously.
eyes
Yeah.
up at like the steam cloud and everything.
I love it so much.
Mhm.
And I think that's a good little button for us to take our first break.
Yeah.
Yay.
Cool. We will be back in 10 minutes. Is that what it is? I think so.
I believe so.
Sounds good.
We'll be back in 10 minutes ish. We'll see you guys then. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Republic City Rumble. The last, oh my goodness, double audio in my ears. I don't want to listen to myself talk. Sorry. That was a technical difficulty on my end, but it is now fixed.
But your voice is so charming. And so-
Oh,
Hey everybody, you should like listen to Cook's voice.
excuse me while
Ooh.
I'm going to faint.
I haven't done ASMR in a second.
Hello, everybody. No, I'm not good at it either. So the last scene where we left our slightly confused cast of characters, Tirza and Ezra and the waterbender from the Scorpion Bees had decided to do a little training exercise with one another. It's kind of like a thing that waterbenders and airbenders will do together to kind of practice their craft with one another. And Ezra found a creative way to participate using their unique style of firebending.
Just happy to be here.
Yeah. And it ended in a wonderful spectacle that cooled and calmed the audience in a very like natural and very kind of pleasing to the eye way. And it was very nice, and the audience is really happy. And as the mist slowly starts to settle down even lower into the arena to the point where you all can feel it, you feel refreshed and you feel calm and you feel wonderful. And you feel good. The arena and the event staff don't seem ready to resume the thing yet. So what is it that you're going to do? You're going to stay out on the arena? You're going to go back into your room?
I think we were seeing Kisima and Niho like approaching, so maybe we could meet them
Right.
before coming on to the arena type of thing.
That is correct. That is, I totally forgot, sorry, about Niho and Kisima, but the two of you do enter the arena as this mist settles, and you didn't really see exactly what happened, but you feel this cool, refreshing mist land, and it feels so nice.
As Kisima deserves.
It's everything that I deserve. So yeah, we go over. I like kind of are the waterbender, but it looked like y'all were vibing, so that's fine.
And she gives you a big smile.
Yeah, cool. Word. Yeah. So I like go to the team. They kind of like huddle us all together.
How did it go?
Interesting.
Oh,
We're going to be able to continue to play. The disqualification has been waived.
Great.
We'll talk
Hold
about
that.
it.
Hold that.
Yeah, hold that. We'll talk about that. Tirza, they are going to give you a new glider to continue the match with. Now, I'm sure that they would allow you to keep the glider. That being said, it's obviously your decision. If you want to repair your glider, we can do that. If you want a brand new glider, I will buy you the nicest glider that money can get.
And since we're huddled down, and I think that's close enough that Tirza can hug onto Kisima.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I have a coach like you.
Oh.
Thank you for getting that disqualification thrown out. They set me on fire and they were gonna disqualify me for it, and it kind of scared me. And we'll repair Hila. She's my best glider I've ever had. I don't want to fly on anything else. I don't need anything else. We can just go do it. I'll just do it like this. Glider or no glider.
Okay. Whatever you want.
They'll freak out. They won't know what to do.
Well, I think she like cups your chin. You are the best.
And as they're close,
Mhm.
Tirza will just lean a little bit higher. They're kind of at the extent of their range. Something's going on with the arena refs over there behind us. They have a weird badge and they're acting funny and the other refs aren't. And then they sit back and then they smile again.
Actually, before you lean
Yeah.
back, I don't want to say anything to Ezra because he's very like earnest. But the only reason we are getting back into the game is because Gravon waived our disqualification, but there was a note in his handwriting saying that we were to be disqualified.
So as Tirza then sits back and smiles, we're gonna destroy them and sort of look like they're talking about the team. He's even knows.
That's right. We're going to destroy them. We're fair and
Ezra,
square.
I love this energy. Keep it up. Burn bright. Okay.
Slaps Ezra hard on the back. Yeah, that's the idea. That's the right idea.
His entire rib cage.
Yeah. Cut to like an internal shot of. Oh, no. I'm fine.
As this is happening, you see a very disheveled, increasingly disheveled looking stage manager kind of poke her head out the archway to see onto the arena where you guys are and says, I got it. And she pulls out another glider, and it's the most opulent thing you've ever laid your eyes on next to the clothes that Gravone is wearing. It's like made out of the finest, lightest wood, but it also has like weird looking bells on it, and it has like gold streamers. And Niho, it's real gold, and you can tell from here. It's like pure gold. It's so engraved with like the finest details. You can't even see from here all of the little intricate carvings that are in the wood. And Tirza, from your assessment, having obviously used these kinds of devices, it's going to perform so badly. It's not weighted correctly. The streamers don't make any sense at all. It's just a piece of garbage that costs a lot of money. To everyone else,
exactly
you think it looks
the wheelchair
neat.
equivalent. Oh God, I know exactly. Oh, how do you hit so close? Oh.
It is. I will say, like, from a mechanical perspective, if you use it, you will have what is the status effect? I need to remember the status effect names.
I'm
inhibited?
pretty sure I take the ashamed condition.
That's fair. That's fair.
The I
You know-
can't be seen in public condition.
if you want to volunteer that as the it's called impaired. The thing I was trying to think of was called impaired. You either mark 1 fatigue or take -2 to all physical actions.
Lord above.
That is the extent of how subpar this device is.
Tirza just looks to Kisima and smiles like,
Go ahead. Well, all three of you play an amazing game. Bye. I like walk over to the stage manager. I want to like you. I really do.
Oh,
No. They're gonna play their own game. Like I said, Tirza's one of the best players out there. They can do anything. No. And I just like walk away.
okay.
I go find Pickles, and who's been keeping our 2 seats warm despite being pygmy sized.
there was at least one person who tried to go up
Oh yeah.
and sit in your chair, and Pickles, who has been just at this point is inside of the tub of popcorn,
Yeah. Making a home, honestly. A summer home. I love that
Is
for him.
one with
looks
the
out of it, a
popcorn.
couple kernels like still in their fur, looks out, looks at the person, and then moves away.
And they
dives
also
back in.
they're like, they think it's the popcorn. They think it's like gonna like an unpopped kernel is gonna go super critical and just like send kernels flying everywhere. And they just back up. They're like, I don't know.
It's just kernel panic everywhere.
Yeah.
Where can I tee that joke's funny to me?
Yeah,
so
Smith goes, it's just like, are you silly? It's like, you're so silly. And just go to watch the game.
Sam, from a mechanical perspective, not using an assistive device doesn't really matter that much. You just have to kind of like flavor the way that you describe your things differently because you can't fly.
Exactly.
Right. That's the important thing to know is that
I mean, we can, as we want, describe advantageous or disadvantageous
Yeah.
positions, but no.
Yeah.
Tirza can do it.
Yep. It's
Tirza believe in themselves.
Believe it or not, there's air all over the place, and your position in relation to it is of little consequence.
Word, there's air everywhere?
Yeah, like all over.
I just took a breath, and then there was air inside me.
Whoa, me too. That's crazy. You hear the microphone click on one more time. The announcer comes on, and he sounds annoyed. He sounds like he's trying to cover it up, but you can tell he sounds a little annoyed. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to come back one more time with the Pygmy Pumas against the Scorpion Bees. Hopefully this is the last one. Sorry it's taken so long. We'll have extra discounts at the concession stand right after this for you to enjoy. But until then, let's get ready to go. And the microphone clicks off like as he's letting the last syllable of his word trail off. The microphone clicks off before he finishes the syllable. It sounds slightly unprofessional. You just make a note of it. The Scorpion Bees come back on, and they're coming back on now, not at the very beginning, right? They were waiting for you to walk out onto the field, and they looked impatient, kind of sassy. And then they were very angry at you, and you could tell in the way that they fought and the way that they looked at you that they just didn't like you. And now we've gotten to this point where they were walking out on the field towards you instead. And they look like they're coming out to fight equals. They look ready to go. They look determined, but there's no sass. There's no anger. And as they walk up to you, you guys are +1. So you're sitting on their largest part of the arena. They walk up to you and they approach the -1 line. And Xander, the firebender, reaches his hand out to you for a handshake.
Ezra will take it, and this is reminiscent of what happened before.
And he'll look at you and say, I don't know what came over me. I hope you can understand. It's my style. It gets a hold of me sometimes that
I'm not the one you need to apologize to. And Ezra will look over at Tirza.
Yeah, that was what I was going to do next. And he walks over to Tirza and he goes, I'm very sorry for
play
what
our
I...
match for now. Okay, friend?
Absolutely. And as you call him friend, slight smile comes across his face. And then he turns and looks at Niho and he points at you and he goes, I'm going to get you. And then walks back. And it's friendly. You can tell it's friendly. Like, he's respecting your clearly like superior position as far as being impactful in these fights is concerned. And they take their position and you take your position, and the bridges withdraw. Everybody roll with... Is it focus?
Everybody?
Everybody roll with focus.
Okay.
9?
8.
5.
8.
Nice.
Okay, so everybody, including... Did anybody get over a 10?
Logically, no.
Okay, everybody, including Niho. Niho, you have bonuses for being an earthbender. Notices that the bridge withdraws very slowly from your side of the arena, and the earth doesn't look like it's moving consistently. It's not moving as one bridge. There's like part of it slides back a little, and it kind of makes this grating sound. The audience probably can't hear it because they're a little bit, distracted with talking to one another and the excitement of the match about to start again. But the bridge is withdrawing in like a clunky way. But it gets there. It's done. It's, once it's fully withdrawn, seamless as you would expect it to be. And that's what you notice.
While they're playing, can I make my way over to the Earthbender refs or whatever on our end?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. I'll let them do their thing, but that's what I'm doing as their Yeah,
and we'll come to you when we feel like it's appropriate. Probably after one round of combat. So you're going to start up again. Take your positions determined. The waterbender looks over at you a little bit concerned that you don't have because I don't think the waterbender was there for this conversation. They look over at you a little bit concerned, like, why don't you? And they're kind of waiting for some kind of response. And I guess if you just make that face, they're going to be like, all right. They hunker down and take their position. And then you hear the announcer go, let's go! And there's a buzzer. The center of the arena glows bright green, and you can all declare what your moves are going to be.
Hey, Niho?
Yeah.
Can we dunk Fireboy first?
Yes. That's going to be a strike.
Okay, figured as much.
Ezra is going to hear that as well and power up his legs through the thermal dynamics and be on the lookout for any thrown fire. His defensive move is going to try to absorb any thrown fire.
Okay. That is Ezra. I almost forgot your character's name. Defending. And then I got Niho as striking. Is that correct?
Yep.
And then Tirza.
I'm going to be hindering someone. Guess who?
I have a feeling it's going to be the firebender. Just a strange gut instinct.
You are so savvy.
Well,
Truly a gaming professional.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Pride myself on my pro gaming prowess. So that's a hinder. Is that correct?
Yeah, so technically those go at the bottom. I didn't get to act last round because I was on fire.
That's right.
How would you feel about doing a quick hinder at the top?
Seems fair.
You get... I'll say... Why don't you roll me a plead, intimidate, or trick?
Against my GM? Sure, yeah.
No, this is going to be... You're targeting the firebender. This is going to be against the firebender. We'll say that this is a roll that's going to determine how the firebender feels about your interaction with them. And if he's on his game or if he's kind of put off.
Ooh, all right. That's plus harmony?
Yeah, if you're doing plead.
Okay. Or, sorry, I don't have the social. I have the combat moves in front of me. I don't know why I have those and not...
Well, technically these moves don't go into combat. This is just an exception for a cool idea that you had.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I think plead is none of them are great, but
sure.
Yeah, it's as good as anything else.
Fair enough.
All right. That gets us to 7.
Close enough. So the firebender doesn't really look like he's totally on his game. He's still kind of thinking. He's not distracted by something. He's not looking at you or whatever. It seems like he's still in his own head. And the movements in pro bending are very reliant on one another, right? Like when the earthbender moves, the airbender does XYZ, and when the firebender shoots, the earthbender needs to support by doing. So you're all reliant on one another, and him being off his game sort of stutters the whole kind of idea behind what your enemy team is trying to do. That kind of relies on him making a move and he's not doing it. And that gives you a chance to get in and do your hinder. So go ahead and roll with creativity or harmony.
All right, I'm going to roll with creativity, and fire has this weird relationship with air. It needs it, but too much of it blows it out or misdirects it. He's been intermittently off his game, relating weirdly to it.
Mhm.
So I'm not trying to blow his fire out. He's a firebender. That isn't how do, but I'm trying to make his own element unreliable for him.
I like it. That's great.
5 + 3 + 1 is 9.
That is really good. So you're going to eventually, obviously, and this is like moments, right? The audience doesn't even notice his little like hiccup, but you're going to act on it. And as he's going to cast his first bout of flame, you don't wrap his whole hand in air. Just enough, you leave just enough of an escape for it to shoot out in another direction that he doesn't expect. And he's not trying to push through you. He's trying to just, normally shoot fire. He's not prepared for the resistance. And so as he's like leaning back and his foot hits the ground and his fist shoots forward, the fire shoots straight up in the air. And he just panics. And you see the fire grow brighter for a second and then extinguish completely. So we're going to call him stunned for his round. He doesn't get to act.
Nice.
So outside of that, we'll start with Niho to strike.
All right.
All right. No. I'm so sorry. We're going to start with Ezra.
Yeah, since the fire was shot straight up, Ezra will just take a stance because that was the defensive move.
Sweet. Awesome. So sorry, is it seize a position?
Seize a position.
Okay. So you're going to have empowered.
Mm-hmm.
So
It'll be -1 fatigue for them if they try to hit. Right?
Clear 1 fatigue. You just get to clear 1 fatigue at the end of the exchange.
Okay.
For free. Yeah. So if I don't know if you have any fatigue now or not, but
Not
if
yet.
you do, you got to just get rid of it at the end of this exchange. Now we're going on to strikes. Okay. So now, Niho, you can do your attack.
I'm gonna just blast that firebender. He's
Yeah,
stunned.
and he looks confused.
All right. That's 9.
Wow. Okay, so he shoots his fire and is caught off guard by it. He sort of cancels it. He backs out. He doesn't follow through. And as soon as he stops, he realizes what had happened, and you see him close his eyes and like cringe at the thought of what just happened to him and the fact that he just let it. And he's just like, oh. And as he's closing his eyes, boom, he gets hit with a rock from Niho. And he was already in -2. Now he's -3. So now he's at the far edge of the arena. And the waterbender is going to strike out at Tirza. So as the earth hits the firebender and he goes sailing, you see a very aggressive amount of water come out from, you think she emptied one of the troughs completely and just lifted it up, and it's all coming at you. You're going to mark 2 fatigue, or you're going to take the trapped status.
What does the trapped status do for me in this context, given how important positioning on the court is?
Sure. You must. You basically need to escape from this water. So you're going to use fatigue to escape from the water. So you need to mark a combination of 3 fatigue or conditions to escape. So you can just give 3 fatigue, or you can choose other conditions to fulfill the fatigue requirement. It's up to you. Or you can just take 2 fatigue from me. So basically, if you want to do conditions instead, it's a valid choice. But if you're just going to do the fatigue, then just take the 2 fatigue from me.
I think I'll take the 2 fatigue because right now I'm at nil.
Cool. So you can go ahead and mark 2 fatigue as you see the move coming from like a mile away, because it's taking her a lot of effort to do all of this, to move all of this water at once and to move it towards you with the force that she wants to. So you see it, and you see her like position her whole body towards you, and you're like, oh, this is coming from me, and you just bubble and just like turtle, and it hits you, and it's strong, and it's pushing and it's pushing. You're like, no. And so you're exerting a lot of energy to keep it at bay, but you manage to. And at the very end of it, you let the bubble kind of expand and push the water away from you. As you could tell, she was trying to engulf you in it. And at the end of that, the firebender doesn't get to move. It's the earthbender's turn. And the earthbender is going to bolster themselves. They're going to bring their arms very close to their body, and then kind of like step down on the ground really hard, and their feet get locked into the earth. And Niho, you recognize this as a kind of like a challenge slash the only thing I'm worried about is getting pushed back. So even if it hurts me more to get hit, I'm not moving from this spot. That's kind of the air that they're putting out.
Ah, yes, the classic ankle breaker move.
They have a good sense of how strong to make the earth so that it doesn't break their bones if they get hit by something.
Right.
It's going to give it the right moment. Let's put it that way.
Selective liquefaction.
Yeah,
Probably,
something
yes.
like that. Selective liquefaction of the earth, not of their bones. That was one round of combat. You gained... you didn't gain any ground as a team, but you did push their firebender back to the final ring on their side of the arena. Kisima, what are you up to? You're walking towards the earthbenders on your side of the arena.
Yeah, because they're the ones that are acting odd.
As you walk over to them, as you walk into your practice room, which is the path you need to go through to get to them,
Right.
you see a familiar face, the police woman who you've seen a couple times. You've talked to her once about her what are they called? I don't know.
Like her people.
Yeah,
Officers.
her people. Subordinates is the word I was looking for.
Oh, there we go.
You talk to her about her subordinates and their behavior. She's kind of sitting, and it looks like she's waiting for something. And as she hears you come in, she looks over and goes, "Oh, thankful. Okay, I need to talk to you.
Okay.
Do you just have a second? Just please, it's important."
Okay, yeah, for
Okay,
you.
come here. And she pulls you into really close to the back wall of the room, and she pulls out the papers that you had given her, and she opens them,
Oh.
and she says, "I don't know enough about any of this." And you read through the paperwork, and you can see some technical words sprinkled throughout the paper that you understand, but they don't set off any red flags
Right.
as you're doing like a first cursory glance of this. She says, I don't know what any of this is, but some of these numbers don't seem like they add up. I don't know what it is exactly, but does this make sense to you? You notice she's only unraveled one paper and is keeping the other one.
Maybe if I had both sheets.
No, they don't reference one another.
May I see it?
No.
Why?
Look, I don't know exactly how you're involved in this, and I don't know if I should trust you or not, but something tells me that I can to a certain extent, and I will listen to my gut as far as it tells me to go. I can't show you the other one just yet. I need you to tell me whether or not this piece of paper looks reasonable or whether there's something wrong with it. Quickly. Is that something you can do, or do I need to find somebody else to help me? And she was kind of in like a sort of submissive state before. Like
Right.
she was being respectful, right? She wasn't being strong with you. And after you pressure her to behave in a way that she doesn't really necessarily want to, she's into
Backing
authority
up.
mode.
Yeah.
She's not giving any ground. And you realize that like this isn't just some like, you know, some officer. This person knows what they need to do and will do whatever they need to do to get to that point. Right? They're a strong person.
Okay. I like bristle when she's like, or do I need to find somebody else who can whatever.
Sure.
I only play stupid. And I'm going to look over the document to see if I can like piece it together and figure out what's wrong.
Sure. Roll with rely on skills or assess a situation if you want, or anything else if you think that something else fits. And as you say that, she goes, anybody that thinks you're stupid is 1,000 tiers worse.
I'm glad you realized that.
All right, I ship it now. We're here.
Listen. You captain this ship. I'm gonna captain your ship. We're in this because that waterbender could be real cute. I'm just saying.
Little did we know Kisumi's family wealth came from a shipping company.
I just looked at the Discord. I'm so sorry, Sam. Those photos are hilarious.
They're so cursed. But that second one is what I think of the glider in my head.
Do you mind if I explain them to the audience?
Please.
So
Oh.
I assume I know when this happened. Sam posted a couple of photographs of tricked out wheelchairs, like bling. One of them has leopard print and gold rims. It's hilarious.
Spinning rims.
Truly
Yeah.
the pimp my
With
mobility
dollar
device.
signs.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
And they're so
man.
heavy, they will murder your shoulders. They're so bad.
Oh god,
It's so bad.
there's so much leopard print on that one.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Sorry for that
hideous.
distraction.
No, it's okay. It's
my fault.
helped me figure out, I think, what I want to do potentially. Okay. I'm gonna assess the situation first. That's gonna be my first move. And we're gonna go from there. Okay. It's a 6. Sorry.
Oh, that's good.
But I realized I was like, I shouldn't just scream. But it's a 6.
It's a 6. Oh, that's not a success, right? Or do you need a 7 and above?
I need
Yeah.
a 7.
Do you have a
Okay.
thing? Like a move, maybe?
Is there a reroll mechanic at all?
Okay.
Is there I think there's a help mechanic, right?
Yeah, but
There
she's
is a
by
help
herself.
mechanic.
No, she's not by herself. There's an NPC.
Well,
Oh.
And she's totally willing to help you.
Oh, yeah, for the paper, yeah.
oh my god, thanks, babe. Oh.
That's not what I meant. But if you want to think about it that way, by all means.
No.
So when
just
you take appropriate
pals
action to
help
help a
pals.
companion, mark 1 fatigue to give them a +1 to their roll after the roll. You cannot help in combat exchange in this way. This is not a combat exchange. She's going to mark 1 fatigue, and you're going to get a +1 to that roll, which brings you into a success. So
Thanks, homie.
you're looking at the paper and you're like, I don't see it. I don't see a problem in your head. And
Mhm.
She notices that you're
Mhm.
kind of at a loss.
Mhm.
And she's like, this is what I don't think adds up. It's this. Do you see this number here? It's very, very large, but then the total is very, very small. And I think that the total is something that's calculated like automatically by a scale or something somewhere, and it like prints it onto this paper. So does that mean that one of these things didn't go through the scale? Like, why wouldn't it have gone through? And then also, if you look at the very large number, it's for something that isn't really marked. It just says V, and it's in quotes. So what am I supposed to make of that? Something that doesn't add its weight to the total weight of the shipment, and it's called V. I don't know. I don't know what to say beyond that.
Okay, cool. Fuck.
So that
Right.
as she's talking, you think about it, and you're looking at the
Mhm.
the contents of the shipping manifest thing, and you notice that there is something else that's weird. A lot of these are components that have no place in an arena. It doesn't make any sense. There's like super high voltage things that like even the lights that light up the arena doesn't make any sense for this kind of voltage to be involved. There's mentions of like reinforced plating, and you don't understand like what would I need to reinforce. Doesn't make any sense. And it's a lot of stuff. It's not just the qualitative nature of it. There's so much stuff here, and you didn't see any of it anywhere as you were walking down the hallway. It could have been on the other side of the arena, but why would this paper have been here and this stuff been on the other side? It just strikes you as weird.
I can't shake the feeling that they built some weird earthquake machine. I don't know. Okay, but those are all the things. So it's like technical machinery stuff, no sort of like chemical components.
You don't recognize chemical components that are amongst the things that are listed. This isn't like, yes, you have technical skill, and you have very great technical skill, but it is not all stuff that you understand. And there's also some stuff that you would just need to know, like a product number, to know what it is, and you don't have that information readily available at the moment. There are a couple things that aren't labeled that way. They're more overtly labeled. And so you can tell, like, wait, like 750 watt transformer to what? Like, what? That's what? What am I doing? That doesn't make any sense. That these numbers are too high. And she looks at you and says, "So, but is there anything? Is there something wrong? I don't. What is it?"
Okay. I used assess the situation. I'm getting a lot of information. I have to just tin hat. I just have to tin hat yell really quick. Do you think they built a whole bunch of weird little fucking pins? Do you think
Something's going on?
Materials went into these weird little pins that everybody's wearing?
Or
I mean,
maybe
I do have a sort of world building question that might inform the tin hattery.
By all means.
Gravone has unfathomable resources, per a quote from my notes. What industry?
Many industries. Think of Gravone Industries, which is the name of the company. Think of Gravone Industries like Procter & Gamble in the real world. Their fingers reach into so many industries that calling them a specific kind of company doesn't make sense.
Got it. Thank you.
They're just in the they provide services, they manufacture products across many different lines, services across many different things. They stretch out into the entire world. They're in Republic City. They're in tiny little firebender towns on the opposite side of the world. They exist everywhere to serve anyone for any reason.
Are they like, so does that put them in a position to be primarily customer facing products manufacturer, or like
they do have a large business to business like side? Go ahead and roll me something, rely on skills, or I guess assess the situation could work too. If you want to know more about Gravone Industries.
Tirza shouldn't know more.
Okay.
I just wanted to sort of like get a sense of what we know Paris Hilton gets money from hotels.
So that's the like the public facing perception of how that company works.
That's all Tirza needs to know.
Great.
Yeah. Okay, so I've been looking at like the assess the situation questions, because that is technically what I rolled. And I think like the only question that seems to make sense is like, what should I be on the lookout for? Like, okay, yes, these numbers don't make any sense. And I already know that like I didn't find any like weird hulking piece of machinery.
Mm-hmm.
But through seeing all these through seeing all this stuff and the things that are actually described, and knowing that there's this weird mysterious V, like, would I be able to even imagine like what this would all come together to be?
You don't think that you have enough information to
Okay.
build something out of this. This looks like, and actually, I think I can give this to you fairly for free. This doesn't look like a list of parts to build something. This looks like a list of replacement parts. These are all things that are pretty heavy duty. They're handling a lot of whatever it is that they're doing. Like, for example, the transformer is handling a lot of electricity, and it wears out over a period of time, right?
Right.
So maybe it's a replacement for that, right? Or like very large fuses. Maybe they blew a fuse and they need to replace a fuse. It's just that the kinds of pieces of equipment, you don't imagine them having a use in this context. Even for the most demanding pieces of equipment that would normally be in an arena, you don't understand why they're of this magnitude.
Okay.
So to specifically answer, because I'm doing a really bad job of answering the assess a situation specific question, you want to know what you should be on the lookout for. It's either where do these things belong, or where are these things? If you find the things, that's helpful. If you find something that would justify the existence of these things, that's also helpful.
Okay. So I think after like pouring through all of this and just like mind palacing our way through this list, Kisima looks up and is like, okay, so either this entire facility is far shoddier than anybody could have ever imagined. It's falling apart at the seams. I don't think they're building anything, but I'm starting to wonder if maybe it's a cover.
What what is a cover? The paper?
This shipment. Yeah. I'm saying like there's a lot of just stuff and a lot of machinery and a lot of things that are put in to keeping the stadium running. And not just in terms of like the lights here, but we broadcast, that's a whole other element of things. So there's a lot of just stuff, from transformers to oil baskets for snacks and cooking supplies and things like that. There's a lot of stuff that comes in and out of this facility.
Sure.
So I wonder if they're smuggling? I don't think that's exactly what it is, but it seems like whatever is being brought in here is being shipped off and hid somewhere. Or
so you're saying that these things aren't here. You don't know where to find this, and she just points to a random line of a large piece of equipment. So this doesn't belong here? Is that what you're telling me?
I'll be honest, I'm a pretty savvy girl. I can't imagine why they would need that here.
Okay, I'll let you in on something that maybe I shouldn't, but I feel good.
No, you should.
I have a report that I can safely rely on that says that at least some of these things, and she points to some things that you're suspicious about.
Mm-hmm.
I know for a fact that at least some of these things are here, but I haven't seen them at all.
Okay, then I will let you in on something too.
Please do.
For a second, I thought that there might be some kind of machine or something that caused that earthquake. My player is very in tune with the earth. She says it's not natural. I believe her. And
you know I'm an earthbender, right?
No. I don't know much about you.
Most of the police are, because we have the cable system across the city that we use to get around. We have to bend metal. We're very good earthbenders. I can tell you for a 100% fact that wasn't an earthquake, darling. That's the only reason I'm still here.
Well, maybe if you had opened up and shared that, we would be farther along in this conversation. Anyway.
First of all, police officer, I have rules that I have to follow. I don't just randomly get to talk to civilians. Thank you very much. That's what I
Oh, I'm
thought.
sorry. Just keep going about rules. Because
Oh, that was the main one. That was the believe it or not. That was the main one.
I definitely believe that all police officers follow rules. Absolutely.
Hold on. If we're gonna get into this, let's get into this because I need you to trust me. Okay? If you're going to be as useful as I think you are, I need you to understand that yes, some of us are not good. Some of us are awful earthbenders. Some of us only know enough about the law to feign a slight interest when it conveniences us. Yeah, I understand that. And I promise you, unless something like that has directly affected your life, that I have a distaste for it that eclipses yours by more than you can fathom. They give me a bad name. All I'm trying to do is make sure that everybody here is safe, that everybody out there is safe. If you have a problem with me or the way that I work, tell me now.
Okay. I hear you and I believe you. So anyway, now you understand why I was so concerned when your colleagues, or sorry, subordinates were just standing around wasting time. But I have a new theory about that, and we'll get to that. So yes, I was running around trying to find out if there was some sort of machine that was causing the earthquake, and then I got caught, and you already know about all of that because you have the paperwork. But I don't know if that's necessarily the case anymore. But I don't know. It's just it's very suspect. And then I was talking to another one of my players, and they mentioned that some of the refs and some of the earthbenders who are out on the field and everything seem to be out of it. And all of the people who are wearing a very specific pin.
Like this one, and she pulls one of them out of her pocket.
Okay.
Did it look
Where
like
did
this?
you get that?
This was on one of my officers that you had pointed out earlier.
That's what I was afraid of.
Do you know what it is?
Nope, but I can find out.
She gives it to you.
Okay. Can I rely on my skills and training?
Certainly. And as you're looking at it, the door opens to the practice arena, and the stage manager walks in. And
I put my hands behind my back.
The officer that you're speaking with was like kind of hunching down to get within earshot of you, and whisper. She straightens up very abruptly, boom, just like stiff as a board. And you hide the object behind your back, and it's so obvious. But like, what's she gonna do, right? Give me that. No, she's not gonna. So she's like, I'm sorry if I was interrupting something, but I was just walking through. I didn't expect anyone to be back here. I'll just keep walking, and I should probably take this as well. And oh shoot, what are those interns? And she grabs the assistive device that Tirza decided not to use, just starts to pull it away and kind of through the archway.
Like
slowly,
she's kind of struggling with it a little bit. Like she doesn't know whether to push it through the door, but like or pull it through after her. She just doesn't understand. She's confused, so she's just kind of struggling. She maybe struggles with it for like 2 to 3 minutes. Sorry, go ahead.
Are you okay?
I'll be fine. By all means, just continue whatever you were. She's still struggling. We're gonna go back to the
private, so I don't think.
We're gonna go back to the benders.
Mm-hmm.
Niho, after this bout, and you throw your discs, you assume your stance. You see the opposing earthbender kind of lock his feet into the ground, and you feel another kind of strange vibration from underneath you. This one's way more subtle. You don't think that anybody but you and the other earthbender would have felt it, or at least clocked that it was a significant thing, as opposed to just a vibration of the stands from people walking or something. So you feel it, and you're still looking at the other earthbender, waiting for their reaction, and he looks at you and kind of squints as though he noticed it as well.
Yeah, like I'm gonna give Niho like a little subtle nod, like confirming. Yeah.
His slight squint turns into like a kind of asking what, a little bit confused as to what it is that he had felt.
There's no way to answer that from just gesture alone.
And this is just kind of like in like a couple beats as the rest of the team is still fighting and you guys join back in, realizing that you're in the middle of combat. And so why doesn't everybody pick a move?
Yes, I will say Ezra's going to be doing an evade move with a bolster towards Tirza.
Okay.
The intention is to remove the water and clear a path and bolster some of the fatigue.
Thank you. How do you think Trick might fit into this?
We could try it. Let's see. What does it say? They do what you want in the moment. So we'll say if you can. This might be something that
I
you
think
normally.
all of the actual mechanical results fit into the combat all right. I just don't know where you want it in the initiative.
Sure. Like it'd probably be an attack. I think attack makes sense.
Okay, works for me.
Yeah. And then. Sorry, Niho, I didn't get yours.
Yeah, I'm like thinking about it. I think I'm going to attack, but it's going to be a smash this time.
Okay, all right.
Which bender are you going after?
Earthbender.
Earthbender.
Perfect.
Smash.
Let me lay up for you.
Okay, so we're gonna do the defends Ezra. We're gonna do you first.
Okay.
Sorry, did you say you were? You said you were defending, right?
Evade. It's under the evade options of bolster.
Oh. Gotcha. Okay, so you're okay. Got it. How does that play out?
Ezra is going to. He had a sort of energy built up in his legs, and he's going to use that to sort of skate over this massive water that came through. So there's sort of steam forming behind him as he moves his way across the arena and slides up next to Tirza. And you can see that there's this buildup of internal energy or heat that then comes out in a wave, almost like a hand dryer of just like a and it instantly like evaporates the water around them and clears one fatigue of the two that they took.
Gotcha. The Earthbender on the other side interprets your movements as an attack. You think that you're going to do something aggressive. And so as you skate over to Tirza, immediately in front of you and Tirza, a giant wall of stone just erupts from the ground. No, it doesn't, because they're not allowed to do that. And that's not something they would forget. That's something only I, as the GM, would forget. Okay, a bunch of earth discs shoot up from their side of the match and form themselves into a wall between the two of you. And aside from feeling a little bit of the heat come back at you from the, just force of you expelling that much of it into the environment, it doesn't really do anything. It's just now interposed between you and the enemy team. And as that happens, you hear a buzzer again. This one is a different sounding buzzer. It's the end of the round. And because your team has pushed them back, you do win this round. And realizing that this is the end of the round, everybody, nobody in the audience had realized that it was this close to ending because it had been stopped so many times. But the 3-minute timer never got reset. It just keeps going after you resume the match. And so after the buzzer goes off, there's a beat of what does that buzzer mean? And then everybody just cheers. Yeah, woo! Yeah. You totally won the audience over with your display of camaraderie with the enemy team, and they were super rooting for you at the end. Maybe you probably didn't notice because you were just in the game, but afterwards you realize that they're cheering for you guys. They're not cheering because they're excited about the game in general. They wanted you to win, and they're so happy that you did. And they're all cheering and screaming. And so because nobody got knocked off, it is generally tradition for all three of the benders to come to the center and shake hands with their respective elements. Is this something you're going to observe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If
Oh my god,
allowed,
Tirza has to shake the waterbender's hand.
I think Ezra walks over to Tirza in something that they may have practiced before. And much like the synergy between the two players, they both sort of combine their elements into like a floating sort of thermal situation.
I like it. I like it a lot.
100%.
As
Just
you,
float me a little taller than
Yeah, yeah.
Firebender, though.
Blah, blah,
Just
blah, blah.
for flex.
and I think the fact that both of you are involved in making it work is a totally mechanically reasonable thing. It's not just an airbender flying by themselves, right? So I think that's totally reasonable. You approach and they approach as well, and you stand opposite, or you know are opposite of your opposing element, and you shake hands. And Niho, as you're shaking hands, you lock eyes with the Earthbender, and they go, "What was that? Did you feel it?
I did.
It was really subtle."
You might have not been. I mean, you're well aware that things are kind of going weird, that we're weird with this game, but there's some things going on with this arena right now.
Do you know what it is? I'm a little scared. I don't know what to make of. I've never felt anything. It moved the whole Earth, but with such a subtlety that I don't even know how to do that with bending.
We're trying to figure it out.
As you're talking, the audience is cheering, and you do like a bow together, all still holding hands, and the opposing team, the Scorpion Bees, separate from you a little bit and kind of give you a moment in the spotlight, and you kind of are a little bit too far to hear at this point because of the ruckus, right? And you take your bows or whatever it is that you do, and then the Earthbender approaches you again. Do you mind if I join you? I just want to talk about it for 1 second.
Yeah, come on. No problem.
The Earthbender kind of motions to the rest of their team, and they all start following you back to your side of the arena. And you tune into what the announcer is saying, and he goes, "I've never seen anything like this before, folks. It looks like they're gonna I guess all leave together down one. Okay, I know this was a very strange game, ladies and gentlemen, but we got to give it to the Pygmy Pumas. They did put on quite a display for us, don't you think?" And they all start cheering again. That's right.
We love
Yes.
performing for our esteemed guests. Fantastic.
They cheer and shout, and as you all exit the arena, finally the
Pickles
arena
is just the conductor of this parade. Could not be prouder. We don't need to talk about the butter that is like in like
Slicked.
just slicked down the side of their head from a hot tub of popcorn time machine.
As the arena door closes behind you, your room, you look around, is empty, aside from all the objects that are supposed to be in there. Nobody else is in your room. The officer has left since then. Excuse me. And oh, I'm so sorry. You're still in the room, obviously. Kisima's still in the room. The Earthbender from the Scorpion Bees looks over at you and kind of the room as a whole and says, "Sorry, I know this is weird. My name is Mord. Nice to meet you. Something weird's happening, right?"
Indeed there is, and to punctuate it, going to pick up like a set of lockers and put it in front of the door, like the opposite door, so we're not being interrupted at all.
It is a high traffic area.
Yeah, it was so cool.
And I think Tirza will just very quickly dive into one of the lockers that's moved to pull some canvas out of it. They're going to start making some repairs to their glider while everyone's having the discussion.
Cool. Do you know what's going on?
Well, I've had some conversations. I've done some searching and some digging. I have a lot of pieces, but I don't know how they all figure out together. I'll be honest. Like, I love a puzzle, but this is a lot. And I just kind of like unload everything that like Missy and I talked about.
So you give them everything.
I give them everything except for the Gravone details. I don't even think I mentioned that I spoke with Gravone. I just mentioned I got caught and played it off and came back.
Okay. And so you do explain that you were sneaking behind the like around in a place where you weren't supposed to be. Do you explain that to them?
No, I say that I was off searching using my connections to get information.
Cool. Is trick used for lying or is it something else?
Oh, is there a distinction?
You can either trick or rely on skills and training. It's up to you.
Okay, so I'm gonna do some shenanigans.
Do it.
So as the successor, I have some resources. And one of my resources is introductions and connections.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's like Kisima's not subtle about it. Like she makes a very oh my gosh, where did I have their names? Give me 1 second. She like makes a very, very big deal about like who her parents are and where she comes from, and she's very much like, yes, like I'm Ikon's daughter, I'm Issa's sister. Like she's very like hoity-toity about like I'm related to 2. Very successful,
right?
Very professional, legendary pro waterbenders. Fun fact, that was almost Kisima's voice. I almost gave her a millennial fry. You're welcome. So I don't think it's like abnormal for her to be like, yeah, I use my connections to like get into the back and search around. So that is the resource that I'm going to try to use to like play off this lie without having to roll.
I think that works just fine. I think it's more of like you're like dropping names left and right. You're like, oh, this person and this person, and I learned this and this from this person.
That's crazy.
and so you're kind of you're going through this list, and it kind of like they're trying to follow you. They're making a concerted effort to like pay attention and like internalize everything that you're saying and all the people and all of the like relationships and why and then, know about XYZ and why they should believe. And honestly, the web gets so thick that they lose track and they just
and like
choose
my
to
uncle Hanbin, his like nephew works in production, and then like he's dating a guy who works in fulfillment.
You can like see the cognitive dissonance. Just be like, I don't trust her. I don't understand what she's saying. I guess I trust her. Like, whatever. That's like, sure. Yeah, I believe it. I don't know what that life is like. Sure. But may as well. Whatever.
I'm sorry. This comment is sending me. It's hard carrying so many names.
I love it. So yeah, they don't seem to catch on to anything. They don't even seem to understand what you're saying after a certain point. You may as well be speaking a different language. But they're like, that's a lot. What does it mean? That's a lot, but what is it? They seem scared now, except the Earthbender. The Earthbender's like looking at Niho, and he says, "Did you feel the first one? That one felt weird too, didn't it? I didn't really get a good read on it, but it felt strange, right?"
They're all been strange. They've all been bizarre. There's no way to... There isn't a word for...
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. And the Firebender looks over at you, Ezra, and he says, "And you felt the energy in the room, right? Didn't it feel weird?"
Yeah. Well, if they were going to be somewhere and make an earthquake or whatever is happening, maybe it's underneath the arena, down below. I know that there are some service tunnels.
Yeah, but just the people felt weird too, didn't they? They just felt the emotion was so powerful. Did you feel that? Did any of you feel it?
there was a vibe in the room, but can't say I was super attuned to it.
It was when I got to a point where I was fighting. I don't remember if this was the second time they stopped us or the first time. It's all a blur, honestly, after a certain point. But I was looking at you, and he's looking at Ezra. I was looking at you, and I don't know what it was, but I was the crowd was so into it, and I was feeding off of their energy, and it was getting me hyped. But at a certain point, I just felt it was too much, and I got really angry. And
Is that why you blasted me so hard?
Yeah, and I wanted to tell you before, I'm really sorry about that. Genuinely, that's not who I am. I
Do you think you were emotionally manipulated somehow?
No. I mean, by what?
Now that's the question.
Maybe all of us were. But I don't know.
No, I really did want to knock you into the water.
I would have deserved it.
I have a question. I don't know if Niho would know this, but I do know this as me, Remy. Can I bring this concept up?
Sure, yeah, whatever.
When you, I'll say it as Niho though, that when you're affecting Earth, it's all about like waves and like moving energy and all of that. There's sound also moves in waves and is a type of like energy, and it can, if there's a certain noise that's like bad, it can affect both how like the ground works and how and like affect physical things, but it also can affect how people act. Like if you hear something bad, you want to get away from it, you want to do something different. It can
And that's what as you're talking and bringing up like sound, how sound propagates, and he's like, yeah, it kind of felt like that. It felt like something has like washed over the entire crowd. That I just when I got to that place, I could feel it. I don't know how to explain it. I don't think that's a firebender thing. I don't know what it is. I just felt it.
Can I look? Because I'm assuming Missy like left the little badge with me.
Yes, you hit it behind your back.
Oh yes, yeah. And I acted like nothing suspicious was going on. Okay. Can I rely on my skills and training to like inspect it?
Sure.
Okay, cool.
Are you doing this just out in the open?
I think I'm like they're all seem to be theorizing and going off. I'm gonna like step aside into like a corner to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not like flashing it around, but you know, I'm doing something, and I think they can see that.
How much how invasive are you being with your inspection? Are you willing to break it to get an answer to whether or not it's something weird, or are you trying to keep it intact and just examine the surface?
We can always knock out a guard and get another one.
That's true. I can also just ask Missy to get me another one. Yeah, okay, if I have to break it, I will. Okay. Kisima. Okay, that's gonna be a 10.
nice.
So you're looking at the outside of it, and it looks like pretty mundane, like a pretty mundane object. And you take out like a small like screwdriver, and you start scratching the surface of it, and nothing unexpected happens, right? Maybe there's a thin layer of paint that you're scraping off, or like gold foil or something like that to expose a less valuable material underneath. And you're like, okay, forget it. And you just snap it in half with your hands. You just pull on it, and eventually it just crumbles and kind of breaks apart, like almost as if it's drywall. It takes quite a bit of force, but it eventually gives. And as it breaks, you just zone out. You're just, whoo! You don't feel a care for anything in the world at all. You're just totally chill. If somebody came up to you right now and was like, hey, I hate you, and punch you in the face, you'd want to get away from that, but you wouldn't fight back. You would just
No, never.
escape. You're just chilling.
Yeah.
You don't have you don't really have a desire to do anything at the present moment. You're just cool. You don't really want to talk to your friends there. They kind of seem, their vibe's kind of off, you know. You don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, no.
I think you just want to sit down.
Yeah, no, I sit down.
Yeah, so you go over to like a workout bench that no one's using, and you just sit, and you're like, oh man, the rest of this bench looks so comfy. I kind of just want to lay down.
Oh my god, a nap sounds so good. And I lay down on this sweaty, disgusting workout bench.
Honestly, so out of character for you to even touch workout equipment that hasn't been like previously wiped down.
Yeah.
And Niho, you notice this, and it's out of character enough that you're like, what?
Yo, Pickles is freaking out. Kisima
Kisima.
stopped petting them.
Yeah, no, I dropped like that like thing where cats just kind of fall out. Yeah. Like I just do that and I walk around and I like lay down.
Kisima, hey.
You recognize that somebody's speaking to you, and you recognize that you need to respond, but it seems like a lot of work. So you just say the least involved response you could possibly think of, the shortest response, and you say,
What?
Okay, let me take a look. And Ezra's going to like push his way forward and use skills and training to do a medical evaluation of what's happening.
okay.
Come on, cleric.
Woo-hoo. Yeah, right. The one time. Okay. So it's plus the focus. Oh, okay. 10.
Oh wow. There is oh man, my lack of background in medical knowledge is coming to bite me.
You
So,
don't
okay,
have a
how about
PhD?
this? No, I don't. How about this?
Oh.
You lay your hands on Toots' shoulders. So nope, wrong person. On Kisima's shoulders,
Sure.
and you slowly start to infuse the ends of your hands with not fire but energy, and you're letting it kind of diffuse inside the like upper part of her body, and you slowly work your way up to her head. And when you get there, the energy feels weird. Something's weird. This isn't what it would feel like if there were some kind of like disease or some kind of you wouldn't be able to detect something that's like specifically wrong with the brain.
Sure.
So the weirdness doesn't strike you as something that like you're not suddenly able to do that, you don't think.
Diagnose that, yeah.
Yeah. But it feels weird. You don't think you have enough like of a knowledge to figure out what's going on, but you know something's weird right now.
Kisima, there's something going on with your head. I think you should go down to the medical team.
And you, Kisima, hearing this, recognize that Ezra wants you to go down to see the medical team, but you don't think it's necessary because you don't feel concerned.
I'm okay.
Clearly not.
It's just been a long day.
What happened to you?
And you recognize that Ezra asked you a question, and you feel the need to respond honestly.
So the police officer left me with like, and I hold one of my hands, but it's like doing the like limp thing. Like
You don't care whether it falls to the ground. You're just
like one of the badges, and I was trying to look it over, and then it broke, and now I'm just really tired.
Whoa. And then Ezra's gonna take a piece of like a towel that's nearby from like the workout set, and use that as a cloth to pick up the remnants of the badge that she's thrown, and sort of bring them over to Niho and Tirza, and even like the Earthbender that's there, Mord.
Mord.
Kisima, you see that Ezra is bending down to pick up the remnants of the badge, and Ezra, you pick up one piece of it, and Kisima, you feel the need to help Ezra pick up the other piece. It's really important to you that you help Ezra pick up the other piece.
Don't touch it! Don't touch it! And he's holding one with the towel.
Do I care if I touch it with my hands?
No. You're not concerned about yourself. You're only concerned about helping Ezra.
Then yeah,
Ezra,
I pick it all up and I hand it to Ezra.
Ezra, as you pick up one of the pieces
With the towel.
With the towel, you don't touch it. I understand. Kisima picks up the other piece and holds it up to you.
Put them together.
They fit together for the most part. Some little crumbs are missing because it's a really crumbly texture underneath. But
okay, now let go.
And you feel the need to comply.
Yep, I let it go.
With as many pieces as he can in the towel, then he'll bring it over to Niho and Tirza and more.
And as you see Ezra turn and walk away, you start to feel the need to follow him, but then it starts to fade and you start to feel normal again, and you can kind of think again, and your head's starting to clear up, and you're like, and the first thing in your head is, did I just lay down on that freaking workout machine? What was that? And then the rest of the situation sort of hits you, and you're back as your normal self.
Yeah. I take off like the fur and the like sort of shawl, not like shawl, but like the cover that I had, right? Like how people wear like silky roby covers. Like I take that off so I just have whatever's underneath because ew. And I like walk back over to the group. I scoop up pickles.
There's paws at your face. Like you were broke. You weren't petting me anymore.
I start to pat him. I'm okay, darling. I'm okay.
This is all about pickles, obviously.
Yes, absolutely.
Obviously. The star.
Your distress is about me. How are the other benders reacting to this, by the way? Not that I'm a suspicious, paranoid jerk.
Sure. You can roll for that. How about you can do skills and training. Skills and training seems to be the most used roll.
Sure, yeah, it makes sense.
That we use.
Yeah. I guess so far.
Yeah.
2 + 3 + 2 is 7.
They seem to, I mean, if they notice that they're kind of like, okay, that's weird, but whatever. And they kind of go back to murmuring. As your guys' attention is slowly shifted to Kisima and the way that she's behaving oddly, they don't really understand who Kisima is as a person. They just kind of know that she has, connections, but they don't know if she's prone to like just kind of like zoning out every once in a while. So they just kind of are like, cool, I guess that's who that person is. And they keep talking.
None of them seem like unexpectedly blasé or unsurprised. Like basically, is there any read that I might have that this makes too much sense to someone?
Gotcha. They don't seem suspiciously okay with it. They just seem accepting of the way that somebody's behaving. They seem inclusive rather than understanding, right?
Yep.
This is
all right.
This is
Suspicion pants away.
Like, I don't know, like recalling a memory because I have seen Gravone myself. I guess it'd be maybe an Assessa situation, but can I recall if I've seen that same like even with like the parts of like that badge, like any kind of similar symbol or some kind of like similar iconography with it?
Is it the weird animal that he's wearing?
The weird animal?
Doesn't he have like a weird animal on his robes?
Oh. You mean Juan?
No, Gravone had like a weird animal on his robes.
Oh, he was wearing like fur, but it wasn't like an
animal. The type of fur.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you can roll assess the situation, I guess you'd be asking, what should I be on the lookout for, right?
I guess, yeah, in a way, like
Okay.
kind of like a recall, because it wasn't like important at the time, but now it feels important now to think about what
Sure.
Gravone looked like.
Sure.
12.
Wow. So I guess you get to ask 2 of the questions. Well,
That's so hot, bestie. Let's go.
regarding
2 questions.
regarding the Gravone thing first, you don't think that Gravone was, and correct me if I'm answering the question incorrectly, if that makes sense. But you don't think Gravone was wearing anything similar to that medallion at all,
Okay.
right? You didn't see it on his person. You didn't see a place where he could have been keeping it even, right? He doesn't have pockets. He doesn't carry things himself. He lets Juan and others do that. So yeah, his clothes are pretty smooth. You don't understand where he would have been keeping something like that.
Okay. Yeah. I guess second question, I kind of like reformatted who or what is the biggest threat. Does this badge still pose a threat to us now that it's like broken like this?
So the way that this works is that you get a +1 ongoing when acting on the answers, right? So you get a +1 ongoing if you have to do something that relates to Gravone not having a badge, or Gravone and the concept of the badge, or something like that. I don't see a good way to answer that question, so I will give you a +2 to any roll for that question in the future.
Okay.
It does, because there's no reasonable way that I can think of to answer that question for you. So if you want to ask that question again, or if you want to ask a question similar to it, you can take a +2 for it.
I will take that, because that feels like it'll be important later.
And the reason I give it to you is because I won't have to deal with it. The other GM will. So go ahead and do me a huge favor and write it down.
I will.
If you don't remember it, they won't. I will give them notes. I'm not totally throwing them under the bus here.
No,
I will give them notes.
Don't give Lucas a single note. Don't give him any clues. I want you to take the documents and burn them.
I would like to let you know, Liv, as a player, that the other GM does appear to be in the chat, so I would watch it. Don't go too far.
We have a home game on Monday. I know.
Oh, yikes. That's going to be rough. So yeah, you don't get a good read on, you don't have a good way of assessing its status, right? You don't understand it well enough to know whether or not it continues to pose a threat, but you think on it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Lock that in the brain.
Yep.
Hey, we want to figure out if there's a machine or something under this place.
Yeah.
I don't think there is anymore.
Oh?
I don't know. There's a lot of machinery and a lot of stuff moving through here, along with some items that just I have no idea what they are. If I knew like the names, or even just like the general kind of stock numbers, or just like shorthand, because sometimes it's just easier to write things in shorthand, I'd probably be able to figure it out. But there's just a lot of stuff that is very confusing, very shady. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I can't help with product numbers or anything. But if we want to maybe try to get an idea if there's something under all this, I do know one way we could maybe look for it.
What did you have in mind?
Well, the deepest point in this arena. It's the kind of thing only we can get to. And I look to all the benders.
The bottom of the moat?
Yeah. Our earthbenders would be close enough that if there's vibrations, even if they're subtle, maybe they could hear
them. To deal with all the water.
I just looked at Koi.
Oh.
Yeah. I think Kisman makes no. I'm not bending water.
Wouldn't ask you for it. Wouldn't ask you for it, buddy. What do you think?
Another-
Do you guys want to help us?
That sounds like scary. I don't know. Not that I'm afraid of confrontation. It's just we don't know that what we're doing is right, and I don't know if I should. I mean, I can help. It's just.
Are you afraid of getting disqualified? I mean,
No, I don't. This isn't how I make a living. I just enjoy bending against other good benders. I could go home and spar against other water benders, but they're not that great, to be honest. So I prefer to come out and face a real challenge. But I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about what if we do this? What if we, go down there and then it turns out that there's nothing there or nothing's wrong.
We don't have to worry. But if you want a challenge, this is a much bigger one. It doesn't just test your powers, it tests who you are.
What is a bigger challenge than investigating possibly unscrupulous activities within a pro bending zone?
And there's like a balance move I'd like to use here.
Sure.
Because like we're trying to get them to do some values stuff. So I think it's actually call someone out.
Nice. Yeah.
Ooh.
Is a mechanic here
This is a call
to live up to their principles.
Yeah, we haven't really dealt with the balance mechanic a whole lot, but
Hell yeah.
So I think in order to do this, you have to describe the principle, right?
Mhm.
So what principle are you appealing to, I guess is the question.
I'm open to suggestions.
maybe the principle of like always down for a challenge or something like that. Like,
I think that is probably the value, if you will, that I'm kind of calling
yeah,
on.
like the
I am
angle.
like it's a soft. It's not a hard goad
Mhm,
by any
mhm.
stretch, but definitely appealing to challenge. But also, Koyu does seem sort of concerned with the honor of the action. And I think I'm appealing to, okay, so let's find out if something dishonorable is going on.
They definitely seem like a person with a lot of honor.
Mhm.
Yeah, they care about doing right and wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's sort of what this whole, like, since they, helped their opponent when their teammates set them on fire.
Right.
So I'm gonna ask you to make a specific choice then.
Mhm.
Honor or challenge / sense of adventure.
I think Tirza appeals to sense of adventure.
Okay, so you why don't you describe what you say or have a conversation now that I understand the goal.
Yeah. I mean, what's the point of getting so good at this if we don't go and do something with it? This is something that we don't know enough about. Yeah, you don't know whether there's something really going on. But you can find out. We can find out. Together. And it might be dangerous, but so is pro bending.
Yeah. My mother always used to tell me that sitting on your hands is just as good as doing harm with them. So maybe you have a point. I'm being too worried about offending people and not worried enough about what's going on. If something nefarious is going on, somebody needs to do something about it now. And we may as well be those people. So okay, I will help you as much as I can.
It's good to have you on the team.
It's good. Well, I would prefer that we didn't need to be on a team, but I guess I'm glad it's with you lot, since I already know that you can bend well, I guess. And she walks over to the part of the room that used to be an archway that has since been closed off between you and the arena. And she kind of like rests against the archway and kind of like looks at the stone and says, okay, what's the plan? And that's where we're going to end it.
I love the breath in from Kisima.
The plan? No, not the plan.
I had such a big brain moment while I was sitting here toying with my pen. I think I figured it out.
Oh.
Ooh.
I have a theory.
I have a theory.
Tell us offline.
Yeah.
Yes.
They don't get to know.
I'm curious too. I am not going to tell you whether or not you got it correct though, because
Sure.
that's going to be Lucas's pleasure. I don't know if I explained this to y'all already, but this game, Republic City Rumble, that we are playing currently, is a collaborative live stream, meaning that I, for the next 2 episodes, the final 2 episodes of the series, won't be here. Well, okay, I'll be in chat though, and I'll be saying things in chat for sure. No spoilers, but I will be saying things in chat for sure. Lucas Santana of Rule of Lore is going to be GMing the next 2 sessions. And this has been a really freaking wonderful process. Just if I can have a personal moment to soapbox for a second, working with Rule of Lore, Lucas Santana, and there was one other person, and I'm so sorry I forgot your name.
John.
John, yes,
John.
thank you.
And hashtag and John.
Hashtag and John. Oh my God, our monarch, our icon, John.
Working with the 2 of you has been absolutely wonderful. We would have like meetings and discussing like, oh, what do we want to tell the players ahead of time? What don't we want to tell? And then we had this big long discussion right before your guys's 0 session. The players did a 0 session off camera. We had a conversation right before that where we worked out the whole thing and like what the idea was behind the session. We just like laid out the groundwork of like, these are all of the things that are going on and how do we want to like let the players clue into it and like what are we going to do to challenge them and stuff. And it was really fun. Their ideas are so great, and like I've never felt more comfortable, aside from when I work with Jake, but that's just because I know Jake very well. I've never felt more comfortable just like sharing my ideas and like putting them out there than working with the 2 of them. It was absolutely a pleasure. I cannot stress that enough, working with the 2 of you. And I'm so stoked to see what you guys have to add to the end of the story, because the players made it really fun for me. I'm sure you guys are going to have a lot of fun closing it off too. I forgot how to end shows after all of that mushiness. Like, what do I say? Like, we've been Q Times. Thank you for joining us. Tune back in. Oh man, I don't know. I think it's going to be on the Rule of Lore channel. Is that right? On the Rule of Lore channel, same time, but on their channel. And we're going to be like signal boosting all their tweets and stuff. So if you don't know where to find like the Rule of Lore, all that's going to be on our Twitter, like links and everything. So definitely check that out. And then these 2 episodes are going to be on our YouTube channel if you want to catch up before then. So definitely go check that out, youtube.com/QTimesMain. Say your goodbyes. Does anybody need to say, why don't we start with Kisima? Just say goodbye to everybody. Say like, woo.
Yes. Hey, I had a blast. And I thoroughly agree as a Rule of Lore cast member. Granted, not on Lucas's show, but you should watch it. It's called Infinite Horizons. It's not just his show, but that's the one that he runs. I've had a blast. I absolutely love it here. I love it on Rule of Lore. I love it on Q Times, and I have had the pleasure and the honor of being on both. But yes, my name is Liv. I'm on Twitter at Live in a Day. My name is Liv. It's my day. I'm living it. Live in a day. And you can find out. You're gonna find out where I am popping up on the internet next, because everywhere I go, I bring some kind of chaos. So, stay tuned.
Tirza.
I have been Tirza, aka Sam DeLev, on like live. I'm extremely non-chaotic, ordered
Okay.
at all times, and you can see me across the internet being extremely well-behaved, despite the protestations directly from Xander Jeanneret's face. The schedule for which can be found on twitch.tv/Delevely, DELEVELY, with all of my one-offs and special events on my Twitter at Tchaikovsky, CHAIKOVSKY. That'll give you pretty much everything you need to know, except this. Today is my dog Dazzler's 3rd birthday, so please
Oh,
go
happy
wish
birthday, Dazzler!
happy birthday to my Dazzle dog.
Can you
The
please
happiest of
give them a
births.
scritch?
I will
A tiny little
give
scritch?
Dazu a scritch, and her tail will thwap so hard she's going to take off. It's amazing. Her whole butt wiggles. She's 3 years old. She has not yet figured out you can wag the tail without wiggling the whole butt, and no one's telling her.
I love it.
No.
Nope. I will not speak a word. Niho.
Hi, I'm Remy. I've been playing Niho. You can find me over on Twitter and basically everything at Remy Post. Krug, you are a fantastic GM. It has been a total blast to play with you, and I'm very excited to see what Lucas brings in the next couple weeks.
Me too. I'm blushing. And last but definitely not least, Xander.
Hello, I'm Xander Jeanneret. I've been playing Ezra, your healing firebender. You can find me at Xanderific with 2 R's and 1 F. My main hub is Twitter, but I also stream here on Twitch. Also, you can catch me on the most recent episode of LA by Night, Vampire the Masquerade Chronicle, where I play my character X. And I actually was a storyteller for Vampire for a one-shot over on Hyper RPG, so you can find the VOD for that over there as well.
Nice. Thank you very much for joining me, everybody. Good luck with the rest of it. We'll see you guys next time.